Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace. Hey guys, just finished watching Legion, Season 2, Episode 10, Chapter 18. This episode was quite interesting. It's the before last episode. We have one more episode, and we have the final type thing. We're only going to 11 episodes this season, which is quite interesting to see. And we do know that the Legion's already been confirmed for Season 3, so that'll definitely be cool to see that. So let's jump into this. We start off the episode. We see Lenny and David. They're in that tent that Sid and David were in the last episode. And there's all kinds of bones around them, and Lenny's laying on the ground, and David's in the chair, and he has his comic book accurate clothes and hair, and it was really cool to see that, and it really was really awesome to see his hair like that. Hopefully we get to see more shots with him like that, and maybe before this show kind of ends and type thing, we could get him with a little bit longer hair, so we can just do it a little bit longer, and actually have that, maybe keep that hair permanently. It could be quite cool seeing that, especially with where the things are going. I think like have that reappearing in the next, in the end of the season type thing. But I think that that look it was more of a foreshadowing type thing set up, where it was less of than it was maybe something that could really pop up here and there. I think it could pop up every now and then, but I don't think it's something that really is going to be his permanent, like he's going to change and all of a sudden get that new look type thing. I think it's going to be cool to see where things go with that and how it's a bit of a foreshadowing type thing. It does seem like now that I'm finished the episode, it seems more like a foreshadowing. So we see Sid wakes up and she gets dragged. She walks out of the tent. She sees a giant hole with a giant like water stopper, like a drain stopper type thing. And she gets, like a rabbit gets thrown out with a hook on it, and she takes it off and gets pulled into the hole. That's when David wakes up and starts looking for her, can't find her. She finds out that Melody is in the hole with Sid, but last we saw Melody, she was being called by Oliver to come hang out with Oliver and Farouk, so she's hanging out there. Melanie tells Sid that David doesn't really love her. He kind of barely loves her, but doesn't really love her. He more likes her type thing, and we find out David finds Oliver and enters his mind and starts torturing Oliver / Farouk, while Melanie is showing her what he's doing and showing that and creating doubt inside of her. Melanie ends up showing that David is the real villain in the future that Future Sid was talking about this whole time when Farouk went to the future and went to talk to Future Sid. And that's when Melanie calls David the Legion world killer type thing, and that's really cool idea. So that's probably where the reference. That's probably why we got the actual comic book look for David for Dan Stevens in the first opening of this episode. So that's probably where the reference was. The foreshadowing was for that. And then we see Carrie showing up at they're walking around in the desert, and we also had already seen we saw the same shot that was reused from last episode when Lenny showed up and the car teleported to the desert, and she just gets out, gets the gun out of that case type thing, and we see Carrie showing up and they show up to the hole, and a bunch of the guys that Lenny was talking to before with like the blue pajamas and like the boxes over their head, they've taken the boxes off their head and they're coming out of the hole and fighting Carrie. Interesting thing that I noticed is that Carrie didn't have her hair anymore, that white streak in her hair, that rogue style one right streak in her hair is not there from when Farouk mixed them up, but I guess I forget if that's been already reversed since then. I feel like it has. Maybe that's why she's no longer, maybe she's gone back inside of Carrie and she's no longer healed her. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but her white hair is gone. I don't know if that's something just kind of they've missed her, if I missed, just I'm forgetting something, that how it kind of got put back, or she just dyed that one little piece, or cut that one little piece out type thing. Maybe I'm forgetting that. And we see more guys coming out of the hole and she keeps fighting them all off, and they're swinging around these things with this string with the balls on it to make everyone, the Division 3 agents kind of all drop to the ground and kills them all with the sound. Then we see Oliver tells David that Sid is actually with Farouk, so saying that Melanie is Farouk, which, remembering from what happened last episode, we do know that, yes, that makes sense, that Melody is being controlled by Farouk, is Farouk. then Farouk ends up leaving, and we see at the end, that's when the Minotaur comes out and starts, the one that's been walking around with the cane, with the crutches and the wheels on the feet. She ends up giving him powers again, because we find out that she is Farouk, and he becomes all strong, starts destroying all kinds of vermilions and things like that. So that was really cool. Seeing that scene was quite interesting with that. We see Farouk, Melanie ends up kissing the Farouk body, and Farouk leaves Melanie's body. So it's unclear if Melanie's dead now, because Oliver wasn't dead after Farouk left his body, even though David had spent the time kind of spent the episode torturing him. And it was quite interesting seeing that. So it's unclear if Melanie's kind of dead or not, but that'd be cool to see where things go with that. It looked like she was. She did drop to the ground. So, and then we see David sitting over Oliver's body, and when Carrie finds him, and he says that he's worried about himself. What he's worried about is that how he's all he's thinking about is killing Farouk and all the different ways he can do it, and that kind of worries him. And and I think it's really interesting about that with this whole episode. And then we see David kind of removing the choke, which was what David had put into David and the three guys' mind. I can't think of his name. Do we have the actor's guy? Clark. Yeah, Clark. His name when he brought the big tuning fork to kind of when you hit that, it would get rid of everyone's powers. David and Farouk would have no powers, so when Farouk finds it, he just kind of launches it far away so that they can't fight it. So that's where we're going to get the next episode. Will just be Farouk and David full powered going at each other. So that'd be quite cool seeing that. So this whole episode was quite interesting with that. I like the idea of how Farouk was playing with, was inside of Melanie and playing with that and putting all kinds of doubt into Sid's mind and how that's going to play off. And the idea of where things are going to go with all that, how she's already had this kind of doubt that she didn't know who he really was or what his intentions. She understands that his intentions are good, but it just might not be, he might not be doing the right thing at the end of the day. He tends to be doing good, so I think that's really going to be cool to see where things go with that and how their relationship is going to continue on, because it's really going to be cool to see where the different things go with this. I think it's going to be quite cool to see how things continue on. And again, I like seeing the beginning of this episode, seeing the comic book accurate look for David. Looks really cool with this, and it fits perfectly with the show. I think it looks great. It's really going to be cool to see where things continue on with this and how things kind of keep going down this road. I think it's really going to be cool to see where things go to continue this, and if they end up setting up things for a season 3 or not. Because at the time of filming, at the time of writing the episodes, they didn't know they were going to get a season 3 or not. So I think that was really, at least I don't think they would have. I think it's really going to be cool to see where things go with all this and how things kind of continue on. And also at the end of the day, if when Disney ends up buying Fox, what's going to happen to this show? I would assume that I'd hope they'd keep Legion on if it's still profitable. It would be really cool to see that stick around and stuff, but it would be quite interesting to see where things kind of continue on with this, and maybe somehow bringing it into the MCU could be an interesting idea. But it's also I wouldn't mind if they didn't do it, or if they just never explained it. Meaning at this point with this show, it's so far out there that they could just bring it into the MCU type thing without even doing anything, just here's an MCU character, popping up and just having, I don't know if you'd bring in any of the other MCU TV shows, but it would be quite cool to just have some pop up here and there, and he can use his powers to kind of go between dimensions. It would be quite fun with that. So all in all, it's going to be quite cool to see where things go with all this. Hopefully in the next episode we get some sort of a tease to what the potential next villain could be. But like I said, if they didn't know what they were doing, whether or not they were getting a season 3 at the time of filming the last episode, then they might not have too much of a setup for it. So I think that's an interesting idea with that, kind of like the first season where it ended with Farouk kind of leaving David and entering and Oliver. So it's kind of there's an ending, but there's not big enough of a cliffhanger that you're left kind of wondering, like, oh my god, if this doesn't get another season, I'm gonna lose it, type thing. So I think that's gonna be an interesting idea to see how they do play with that and where then things are gonna go with that. But if they did get, they announced, or so early that they were gonna get a season 3, maybe they already told the production that they were, pretty much confirmed for a season 3. and they kind of left it open. So that'd be cool if they knew whether or not they knew they were going to get a season 3, and if they did, it would be cool to see some sort of a little tease to setting up a different villain for season 3, but someone that's completely different than Farouk, because I feel like we've seen that where right now we've had the 2 seasons with David and Farouk and David are kind of like they're the same versions of each other's characters, kind of like the Bizarro Superman and Bizarro type thing, the Flash, Reverse Flash type thing, really things like that, the opposites of each other. So I think it's really going to be cool to see a different type of character, type of villain for David. And I can't think of any ones who I would put against Legion since he's so powerful, but it would be cool to see a different version, one that's not just a mirror copy of the same powers as David, who has almost unlimited powers, but maybe someone who's a little bit different version of it would be quite cool to play with that. Would be pretty cool to see. I remember there was a X-Men villain from the cartoons. I forget who it was. He was a giant, huge character. He had like a robot. He was a really fat character, intergalactic. A guy who would steal people from different planets, to warriors, to make them fight in gladiatorial battles. And I think that idea could be an interesting idea to see with David, and having him doing some sort of Planet Hulk style without actually Planet Hulk, because they don't have the rights to those, but still having those guys. I can't think of his name, but he had like a huge round chair that he sit around chair with robot legs, and he was long dreadlocks and slimy creature with like this huge spike thing. I can't think of his name. I'll try and Google it and put it in the and put him in the video here if I can find it, to figure out who the character is and try and see who. I think it'd be a different and interesting character like that to bring into season 3 for David. One of the things would be cool, like some sort of the Shi'ar type thing could be an interesting character for David to fight, but at the same time, and having like an army, like a race of aliens, an army of people, and that could be the villain, more than just one person as the villain, since David is so powerful. But we'll have to wait and see where things are going to go with this and how things are going to change up for season 3. So let me know what you think, guys, about this in the comments below, and where would you like things to go, and who would you like to see for a different villain for season 3. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which I should be watching and reviewing Cloak and Dagger episode 1 and 2. It should be my next video tonight, so I'll see you guys in that video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes subscribing is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.